And I'll say good day to you. We will begin with this transmission, which we have called the 3 behaviors of connection. And they are timing, communication, and action. Allow us to elaborate. This information is not only for the purpose of strengthening connections between each and every one of you as humans upon the earth, but also between the humans of earth and the hybrid beings that will eventually come to live among you. Because there are certain kinds of vibrational frequencies, certain states of being, certain energies that are very important for establishing strong connections between the hybrids when they eventually come to live among you upon the earth. The idea of tapping into timing of communication allows you to begin to be able to sense when the time may be appropriate to establish a connection, looking at all factors, not only in your society, but in their society, looking at the opportunities that come to you through synchronicity to show you when the timing is more appropriate than other times, to not be too eager, to not be too desperate, to allow yourself to relax into the flow of the timing that is essential for clear connection and communication between you and the hybrid beings. And again, this is something that you can begin to hone your senses on with respect to connections between each other, is to never be too ready to push an idea, an agenda, an idea of information to one another, but to allow synchronicity to show you when it has automatically set up the most appropriate and best possible timing in which information can be exchanged when all parties involved in that communication are receptive and open and willing to ponder and absorb and consider the information being shared that is representative of the excitement and passions of each individual involved in the cross communication. So being more sensitive to the timing of a communication will be essential not only for your own future on earth in terms of the communications that you may feel are necessary to share with one another to propel you forward in a positive direction, the sharing of knowledge, the suggestions of different pathways that you may take without the insistence or expectation that they must be listened to. Synchronicity will provide the perfect timing for this, and you will be able to sense it more and more if you relax into the way things naturally and automatically unfold in your society. The second part, the communication itself, the willingness to reach out, to share, to offer suggestions, alternatives, points of view, the idea of paths that others might take, but again, upon which you have no insistence that they must take, communication of essential and vital information that deals with connection, expansion, positivity, creativity, and unconditional love will be of primary importance when synchronicity has shown you what the timing is for such exchange. Then the willingness to communicate, to share perspectives, to see from each other's points of view will be of critical value in moving forward in your reality to build and shift and navigate yourselves toward a more positive version of Earth. Gathering the information you believe might be essential to share, the perspectives that you believe will be the most beneficial in being of service to one another, and in that communication, the asking of questions of how the other side of the communication might deem necessary information to be given to them, might ask for certain things to be shared, might suggest certain things for you to ponder. So it is the telling and the asking in the communication, as you say in your ancient language, the getting to know you, getting to know each other aspect of communication, really digging down and understanding that everyone has a valid point of view based on where they are coming from, and that the communication must not have any hidden agendas or any kind of desperation or need to force someone to see the point of view that you are espousing, but simply being offered in service as a suggestion for all to consider, to see if it is part and parcel and in alignment and in harmony with their path, their chosen path, and to implement and apply it where appropriate in their own estimation. So the synchronous timing of delivering the information, the back and forth getting to know you of the communication, and truly investigating the perspectives of each and what they bring into the communication, to get to know them much more deeply, to allow them to know you much more deeply, to create and forge common ground so you can move together in harmony, move upward and expand and move forward in harmony together, and build a more positive reality by shifting to the version of Earth that would support all of the dialogue and all of the suggestions and ideas and creativity and love that would come out, that would spill out of that equal communication, equal interest, equal curiosity, equal inventiveness, equal creativity, and equal love. And then, finally, the third principle of action. As we have often said, physical realities, language is the language of action, the language of doing. Words are not enough. Communication is fine, as we have just outlined. But the activity of following through, of doing what you say you will do, of supporting the whole in a variety of ways through the actions that you participate in, that boost and form the forward momentum, that demonstrate your willingness to commit to the ideas you have shared and the automatic timing of synchronicity. The actions you can take in your imagination, physicalize them to the best you can. Don't leave them in your imagination. Show each other and show the hybrid beings that you are willing to commit through physical action to what it is you have discussed, to be able to forge and build a different world, a world that is truly physically representative of what you have all shared in your communication. The willingness to participate, the willingness to be the reality that you say that you prefer to experience, to be the change you wish to see in your world, as you often say. Through those actions, through that commitment, through the willingness to demonstrate physically what you have talked about, then each other and the hybrids will know that you are serious, that you are committed, that this truly is representative of your passion, that it is truly representative of who you are and your core vibration. And so together, with the application of synchronous timing, the willingness of pure exchange and curiosity in your communication to get to know one another, and the willingness to take the actions to back up what you have said, to demonstrate physically by showing that you support what it is you have discussed, will navigate you strongly in the direction, vibrationally, of more connection and expansion with each other, and more connection and expansion with the hybrids when they come to live among you in the near future, in the years ahead. So we thank you for allowing us to share this particular approach to the idea of forming the behaviors of connection and expansion to one another and to those with whom you will be interacting should you continue on this vibrational course. We thank you for this opportunity, and in return for the gift you have given us of interacting with you, we ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.
You said that guides usually send subtle messages in order to remain unobtrusive. Are they considered a novice or unskilled guide if their message is very obvious?
Not necessarily, no. It depends upon the circumstances and the reason for why the message is being delivered the way it is being delivered. It has nothing to do with whether the spirit is a novice at it or not.
And are we able to affect other people's vibration? For example, if a loved one is struggling with negative self-worth, can we manifest for them?
No. You can send off a vibration that can encourage them and invite them to more readily match the frequency that you're giving off, at which point they will create for themselves the same vibration in their reality. That is what you can do for them, is give them the option by immersing them in the vibration you believe would be of help to them. It's still always up to them to more closely match that frequency in order to experience any kind of an effect. You cannot manifest for them. You can only encourage them to manifest for themselves by matching the frequency that you are gifting to them.
And you have said that physical reality is like a mirror. What's the difference between looking into a mirror in our homes, like, our bathroom mirror, and seeing our face in it, than looking into the mirror of physical reality, like looking into our yard?
Again, the idea is that the reflection from physical reality is not a one-to-one reflection. The idea is that it gives you insight into the different meanings that the symbol being reflected to you in physical reality may hold for you. It may give you opportunities to interact with other beings through the manifestations you are creating to represent them, the so-called avatars you are creating to represent them, as being a reflection of why they look the way they do to you, because it is your creation, even though they exist on their own. So the idea of the physical mirror is that you get to engage with yourself more directly on a one-to-one basis. But the idea of physical reality is that you get to be reflected by all the symbols and all the meanings that you are putting out into reality and are being reflected back to you in the way that serves you as reflections that put you in touch with why you are giving off what you are giving off and attracting what you are attracting as a reflection, to put you in touch with the themes that you're exploring and the ability to grow and change by interacting with those different angles, those different perspectives, those different representations of those themes.
Very interesting. This person is talking about parallel realities and wanting to know if they coexist in the same place at the same time.
Of course, that's what makes them parallel realities. Everything exists here and now. Everything. There is nothing that doesn't exist here and now. Look at it this way. Even the concepts of space and time are evidence of parallel realities. Because if you understand that everything is one thing, space being reduced to its simplest form is a dimensionless point. Time being reduced to its simplest form is a timeless moment. Being that everything exists in a timeless moment and a dimensionless point, then everything you consider to be a different thing, even a different moment, even a different location, has to be a different perspective of the same here-now space-time. And therefore you create this illusion of dimensional space, this illusion of time spreading out and change. So even the existence of your experience of space and time are evidence of the existence of parallel realities, which all coincide exactly in the same timeless moment and dimensionless point.
Thank you. You mentioned we will always get what we need, but not what we want. But you also said we can shift to the reality we prefer. Is there any difference between what we prefer and what we want?
It can be. Preference is the idea of a state, a general state of being, a frequency that is more in alignment with who you truly are, your core vibration. Wants can be wildly different. They can be the product of negative ego. They can be the product of fear. So the idea is that preference is more a reference to the idea of the general state of being in which you would receive automatically and synchronistically what it is that you truly need, which would allow you to experience a life full of joy. Whereas a want, though sometimes can coincide with the idea of a need or a preference, doesn't always do so because of the compartmentalization of your psyche structure, your ego structure, that can allow you to have a want that isn't necessarily what you need and can be wildly out of alignment with what you really actually vibrationally prefer to experience in life.
And since we are the creator, is it true that the story of the writer exists in some other reality?
This is very funny to us, this question, because to us there is no difference between the creator and the writer. The creator is the writer. The writer is the creator. A difference is being made here where there really is no difference.
Okay. Let's see. This one is, this person is asking, they sometimes question whether the knowing sense of creating distance from a person is based on a belief rooted in fear. This is due to a belief that they should live in harmony with everyone. Understanding there are no shoulds, how can I resolve my decision to distance myself physically from someone when synchronicity seems to bring us back together again? Is this just a reflection giving me the opportunity to be sure that the decision I am making is the right one for me?
It could be. You have to be honest within your own self-investigation to know if that's exactly what's happening. But in terms of the idea of harmony, remember that love, unconditional love, is harmony. And sometimes demonstrating, as we have often said, the consequence of someone's choice to them by distancing yourself physically from them in a relationship can actually be the most loving thing to do, because you're showing them the consequence of the choices that they're making, relevant to the idea of the choices that you're making. So yes, you have to pay attention to whether you're synchronistically being brought back into the relationship for a variety of reasons that you're not paying attention to within yourself that need looking at, or whether you are there to assist the other person to make the changes they need to make, or whether you are refusing to let go of the idea, and where walking away would actually be not only to your benefit but to their benefit by demonstrating to them the consequences of the choices they are making, thus giving them the loving opportunity to change, not that they have to, but at least giving them the option. So in your own honest self-investigation, you have to decide which of these things may be happening at any given moment, and it actually could be a number of different things, or a combination of these different things at different times. So you have to be very honest about why what's happening is happening, and what you may be getting out of it, and what you may be being of service in giving to them by being either in proximity or not in proximity physically to them. Take it a case at a time, a moment at a time.
This person is saying that they've been doing transformative shifting exercise that you created for the precisely 80 days nonstop. One of the biggest challenges they're finding is that several negative beliefs about their self-value and worthiness is coming up, and they don't know how to fully love themselves under the circumstances. Is there any hint?
Let's go back to the motivational mechanism. This is the purest form of understanding why you choose to do what you choose to do, why you choose to believe what you choose to believe, why you hold on to things the way you hold on to them. Experiencing the idea of feeling unworthy of self-love means that you have attached to the motivational mechanism A belief that says loving yourself unconditionally carries with it somehow effects that you don't prefer, that you believe are more negative than what you're experiencing by continuing to experience a lack of self-love. So you have to really dig deep in your honest self-investigation on your motivational mechanism as why you would hold on to something that says you're not enjoying it, you're not enjoying not loving yourself, and yet you consistently keep doing so. So you have to have a belief that says you're getting something out of continuing that path rather than letting go and going in the alternate way. You have to find out what you believe would be so bad about loving yourself that you refuse to do it. So you have to examine your definitions, what you've been taught in life, what you've been brought up with, and really reach that kernel, that core belief that says, refuse to love yourself because the alternative is worse. You have to find out why you would believe the alternative, that loving yourself would be worse than not loving yourself. Is not loving yourself safer? Less alienating to people? Making you more like everyone else so you don't have to feel too different? You require yourself to examine all these different and other possibilities of why you would hold on to something you don't prefer, because you would not be holding on to it if you didn't think the alternative would be worse. Always go back to the motivational mechanism of why you believe what you believe or why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, because it always has to do with what you believe to be true and why you would believe that doing something different would be worse than what you're doing now, as painful as it may be.